Welcome back, Nap Trappers. How are you, Beck?
I'm awesome. Thanks, Sally. How are you?
Good. I'm going to try something different. You know, the other day I was listening to a podcast where they introduced and then asked each other as a little get to know you segment and a little icebreaker what you had for breakfast. And you never know, there might be listeners out there who are up at 2 a.m. wondering what does
And are
Sally
they
and
looking
Beck have
for like
breakfast
they're
inspo?
looking for? Yes, it's breakfast inspo.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So what did you have for breakfast this morning?
Well, first I slammed down a green tea and then I chased that with 2 magnesium tablets and a glass of water and a probiotic.
Wow. The breakfast of champions. Anything more substantial than that? It's a very quick get to know Beck.
I'm actually not that big a breakfast person. I did used to love, like back in my juicing and smoothie days, I would start the day with a celery juice or like a green smoothie. But I actually have run out of time these days to be able to sort of make anything. So I'll have my, all the things that I just spoke
Your
about.
regime.
I'll have that, my regime. Before I leave for work, and then at work I'll have a coffee, and then I will tend to have a protein bar. God, how boring am I? There's nothing sort of
If anyone's watching this on YouTube, you'll see my face like, actually, I didn't know this. And I thought I knew you. I thought we were more aligned
we were
than
like this until you just heard
But
what I had for breakfast.
In biscuit form, you're a double-coated Tim Tam. So I'm just struggling to link the green tea, magnesium, celery juice back with the I'll take a Tim Tam at any time of the night.
Yes, I know. It's almost like the two can't live together, but they do, and quite harmoniously.
Well, if someone would like a more realistic breakfast.
Yes, what did you have for breakfast this morning, Sally?
So actually this morning was a bit of a furphy because on Wednesdays my daughter has choir in the morning. And so one of the ways I get us up and out the door is we do drive-through chippy shop, aka McDonald's.
Oh, chippy shop.
Oh, yeah, we call it chippy shop. I don't know. Maybe it makes me feel better than my children like, we went through McDonald's again.
Yeah.
So chippy shop, it could be anything.
Could be anything.
But my husband actually bought me a coffee home after his run this morning, which was very nice. And I then had a bite of my daughter's chicken McMuffin, and then I did a boot camp, and then I actually had a protein smoothie. So today we are similar. But I have been on a recent trend, thank you, TikTok, in the spirit of what would your future self thank you for. I've been meal prepping my breakfast, and this will sound so gross. I've been crushing 3 Wheat Bix, covering it in water, and then using one of those like a YoPro, but I get the ones from Aldi. You and I are definitely aligned with our love of Aldi. High protein yogurt on top with frozen mixed berries on top and a drizzle of honey, and I stack up 4 containers of that, and I just grab it and eat it. But
so good.
As a mother, I will have that, and I make a cooked breakfast for the 3 other members of my family every morning.
Oh, my God. Wow, why?
Yeah.
As
I say it, I do love them, and I actually like cooking, and I am a bit of a feeder, and I just get great satisfaction. But I've been doing for Mr. Sleep Concierge, I've been like inspired by sort of Scandi breakfast, where you have sauerkraut and toast and something, jam, and you have something sweet and you have something savory. And so he's been on that. And my children usually have dippy eggs.
Oh, that's
which you can do in the air fryer.
make.
So I don't even have to do anything. Dippy eggs in the air fryer.
Well, we're going to go down a little segue here, but the air fryer is like your best friend because
the air fryer
not only do you do steak, but you boil eggs in the air fryer now.
I will hard boil eggs, and I will do soft boiled eggs for soldiers. And the steak that I do in the air fryer will rival any restaurant. If a 5-star steak chef is listening, I challenge you. I challenge you to a steak off.
Yeah.
5 minutes.
Gloves are off.
Gloves are off. I love a medium rare steak. 200 degrees on the air fryer, 5 minutes each side. I just salt it beforehand, 5 minutes each side. You flip it, and then wrap it in foil for the next 5 minutes. And I challenge you to have a better steak at a restaurant.
2 questions. Are
Yep.
you oiling the steak prior or
No, I don't.
And then the second question is, do you use one of those air fryer liners, or do you just chuck it straight onto the metal basket? And
We
then does it
are
get those lines?
raw dogging this.
Raw
Don't know if I can
dogging.
say.
Wow.
Can I say
on
that
a
on a
baby
podcast?
sleep podcast? Risque.
Risque. No, I have at times oiled, and sometimes I will just spray it, and I should do better with the liners. And but no, I just pop it in and then pop the
Bob's
dish
your uncle.
in the dishwasher. Yeah,
Fantastic. I mean, I think we
or I
could
leave it in the
probably
sink
put
for
that.
Mr. Sleep Concierge to do.
Oh, that's love,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah.
I think we'll be able to put that recipe down into our little, comment
it's
section. I mean,
complex.
it's only going to take one line.
Both of which are from TikTok. So I know a lot of people find me and my baby sleep advice on TikTok. I am right there with you. It is it's the new Google.
I mean, and if anyone wants my celery juice recipe, I'll also pop it down below.
But if you haven't got time to do it, like how involved is it?
I mean, I started. I mean, let's crack on. Let's crack on with our baby sleep advice. We could talk about this forever. But I think the listeners actually want to hear something about baby sleep.
This is true. And
Yep.
today I actually have a question from TikTok that I think will catapult us into a great conversation about a topic that a lot of families have been asking us to do an episode on. So I'm going to read the question. Can you make a video or talk on the pod about the one nap transition? My sleep-trained 14-month-old started having major separation anxiety, and we are looking to transition to one nap. I am exhausted and need help. Jackie baby, that's with 5 Ys. That's what this we are here to help. We see you, and you are so not alone. This can be a tricky nap transition. And honestly, when we put out our question box for sleep detectives, there are 5 different versions of this question, 14, 15, 16, 13-month-old babies doing a variation on a theme. So let's tackle the 2-to-1 nap transition based off this question. Okay, where to start?
We're just going to start. Almost where to start. And I think maybe the point to start at is, when would we typically transition to a one nap schedule?
Yeah.
And this is somewhere we want to try and hold on to the 2 naps for as long as possible. And the way that we work it means that you can quite easily start seeing the signs in the lead up to knowing when to drop to 1 nap. But typically we see that somewhere between 14, 15 to 18 months. And in the lead up to doing the 1 nap schedule, Sally and I both have a transitional routine that we put little ones on from around 12 months old. So we start being able to see the signs really easily, because the nap schedule would be, say, 10 to 10:30 in the morning. So a really quick, short nap just to take the edge off their sleep needs, but building the sleep pressure up for the nice long nap to be in the second half of the day. And what you'll start finding is that as your little one gets older, their ability to stay awake for longer periods increases, and you see that in their resistance to falling asleep readily for that first nap. So at 12 months, typically they are falling asleep at 10 o'clock on the dot, and they're having their full 30 minutes. And then maybe around that 15-month mark, you're finding that they're not falling asleep at 10:15, 10:20, 10:25. They're actually sort of resisting that nap entirely, and they're not wanting to fall asleep until, a little bit later on, which for me is a really telltale sign that
they're
we're starting to
organically
need.
ready.
That's right.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the key parts about how we work, is we actually, rather than just picking a sort of arbitrary, like 14 months, 13 months, this is when you make the nap drop. We want to work with your baby's naturally developing wake windows as such, and their tolerance for the longer stretch. Because if we make the transition too early, what you usually left with is two really long wake
Yeah.
windows, a baby that maybe initially takes a chunky 2.5 hour nap and it's like, this feels really good, maybe even
Mm.
for a week, and then it starts to snowball because the overtiredness compounds, and then you're really left, if a baby's just pulling out a 1 hour 15 nap at 12
Mm.
o'clock, you're really left either with an incredibly early bedtime, which throws everything out, or a big stretch until bed, and then the cycle continues. So by working to a transitional schedule, as you just outlined, Beck, you can go with your baby's natural progression rather than saying we are dropping to one nap now.
Mm.
And I think the most common thing that we see is that when parents want to transition to one nap or think a baby is ready, is that they start seeing refusal of the second nap.
Yes.
And this is really common when you've got it the other way around, that a baby takes a really long morning nap, which is so common. Nap one for all babies, whether you're on 3 naps, 2 naps, 1 nap, is nearly always the easiest. There's a little bit of an overnight hangover of overnight sleep pressure. They love going to sleep. They love taking a chunky nap.
Mm.
But if a baby such as this baby at 14 months, for example, let's say they do a 9:30 till 11 long nap in the morning,
Yeah.
you are going to have a battle at this age, more often than not, to try and get a long nap or any nap in the afternoon. And then what parents think is, this must be the sign that I'm going to drop to one nap. If we do the old switcheroo, as you outlined, we just do that little, I always call it like the pressure cooker or the rice cooker nap. It just releases a little bit of steam, and then that gets you to the afternoon and you're able to hold on to it for so much longer. Because if we are looking at this question as the sort of catalyst for this conversation, this baby is previously sleep trained, so we know that they have great sleep skills. I would rather fix any kind of overnight issues or early rising while still offering more sleep during the day, rather than trying to do that with overtiredness before we've even got to bedtime at this age. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%. And quite often things get confused when our little ones are having that. This little one is sleep trained, so we know that they can self-settle.
Yep.
What we don't know is actually the nap structure for this particular family. But typically what might happen is they are having a longer nap in the morning, just as you spoke about, so 9:30 to 11. And then that second nap is being refused or resisted with great gusto. So you're typically, if your second nap was happening at 2 o'clock, you're putting them down at 2:30. They're not falling asleep. Now it's 4 o'clock. You've either given up on the nap or they've quickly fallen asleep and they've just had 30 minutes just to get through until bedtime. Now, what that actually looks like is your little one now has been awake from 11 a.m. in the morning to 7:30 at night. So that's about 8 hours, and they've either had no nap or they've had a 30-minute nap. Either way, they're going into bedtime overtired. And then what happens is, because they're overtired, these wakings start happening overnight.
Yeah.
And then you might then sort of go, oh gosh, okay, that could be separation anxiety, that could be teething, that could be this, that, or the other thing. What you're probably not thinking of is that your little one is overtired from the structure of the day. But then because your little one is up through the night and it's causing some issues, you go into the morning and then they take their nice big long nap again because they're exhausted because they've been awake, and that reinforces the waking overnight. And then you're sort of back to square one again with that dodgy second half of the day. So it is really important to do the switch before you drop to one nap, because you might find that just by making that, well, typically this is what we find as sleep consultants. If you've got a dodgy night and they're having wakings, by making that first nap shorter and just taking the edge off that sleep need, it's not going to reinforce the waking overnight. You're going to then spread the sleep pressure into the second half of the day. So that second nap comes back again and is the nice long one. So that then your little one is going into the night well rested.
Yep.
Their cortisol levels have reduced and the wakings disappear over the course
Yep.
of the night. And you want to fix that first. You need to
Yes.
absolutely fix that before you go into a one nap schedule, because otherwise it's going to compound and get worse and it's going to unravel. So before you do your one nap transition, make sure you've got your nights looking schmick, along with your early rising, making sure that you've got your early rise sorted too.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you may still find, so depending on how long this has gone on for, and again, we don't know the true manifestation of the sleep issue, whether it's multiple wakings overnight, early rising, nap refusal, but based on the common experiences we see in this sort of scenario, you may still then, if a new habit has been established during this wobble, so to speak, you may then still find that, okay, I've done the nap switcheroo. I've done a short, long, just as the girls have said, we've got to bedtime. We've used a 4-hour wake window until bed. We're now at bed at 7. Oh no, there is still a bedtime meltdown happening. What that means is you can now confidently rule out that this is because of scheduling. You have a previously sleep-trained baby. A new habit had crept in. This is about going back to the basics and essentially re-sleep training.
Yeah.
But not starting from scratch, because we already know your baby can do this, but it's just re-establishing that, we're changing again here. We're going back to great independent self-settling skills that I know you've got, and we're going to see this through, and it will probably only take a couple of nights, if not one night, to just hit reset. And then that will buy you. I mean, you could still be on this for the next 2 months, in which case we've just bought you so much time of great sleep, rather than dropping to one nap and then like digging out of that scenario. And I will be the first to say life on one nap is really good, but life on one nap when it's happened too early is not.
Yeah, that's right.
And so if we can buy you some time and then follow your baby's lead. Now, one of the things I think we should add in is that with that short morning rice cooker nap, throw the rule book out the window in terms of how you get it in. If your baby is happy to take a cot nap, great. You can pop them down in the cot at 10, but you need to wake them at 10:30. Not 10:35. I know we've touched on this. I think when we've answered a sleep detective's question before. Not 10:35. We're doing 30 minutes, and your baby may be a bit cranky. You can blame us, but they will not be cranky when they get to take this really long afternoon nap. But if you are finding it easier to do that nap on the go, so maybe you do it in the pram and then you wake them up for a baby chino at the park. If they want to fall asleep in the car on the way to swimming lessons, fantastic. We're not keeping it forever. The one to protect is just your afternoon, really well established. This is where we're at home in the dark with the white noise in the sleeping bag. Self-settle. We'll see you in 2 hours, because future-proofing is part of what we do when you do make the drop to one nap. Your baby's body clock already has this lovely, well-established long second nap. When they refuse just 15 minutes in the pram in the morning, all you do is bring that nap that you've worked so hard to protect early, and your baby their little body clock barely has to do any work because you've already done it.
That's right. And they've shown you that they can stay awake for longer periods in the morning, and that they actually need that. And so now you're working with them and going with their progression, their natural progression. In terms of actually moving to a one nap schedule, there are a few factors that you need to incorporate in order to make it seamless. So rule number 1 is that you can't go straight in with a 12:30 nap.
No,
bring it forward.
Too stretched.
Too stretched. You can't. And for a little one that's had a nap at, say, somewhere between 10 and 10:30, they can't do another 2 hours on top of that. So you kind of like got to split the difference a little bit. And so what I would encourage families to think about is get your little one up as per normal and have your breakfast as per normal. But because your little one is going to go down for their big sleep slightly earlier than normal, they need to have a really big lunch in order to fuel them up to be able to
To do a
sustain this big
big
nap. Yeah. So you need to factor this in. So if they're going to have their big lunch at 11 o'clock, you need to minimize or avoid all snacks in the morning so that you can maximize the appetite for a big lunch before they go down. And that's really crucial. So you want to sort of do that at 11 o'clock, and then you want to aim to have them in the cot by 11:30 for that nap to start. And it is a transition. So it's not just this is going to happen and it's going to be hunky dory. Like it feels like a transition because for moving to one nap, it can feel clunky in your words, Sally. And so you've kind of got to have a bit of a plan in place for how you tackle it. For most families that I work with, I encourage a 2-week sort of time frame where you will start at the earlier time slot of 11 o'clock for lunch, 11:30 nap, because you've done all the hard work. With any luck, they're going to sleep a good 2 hours for that nap in the middle of the day. So that's going to get you from, say, 11:30 to 1:30. And I would max out at 4.5 hours awake time while you're setting this one nap schedule in place. So you would sort of aim for a 6 o'clock bedtime if they're awake at 1:30. So that's 4.5 hours.
Which, if you're panicking listening to that, thinking, oh, but then we're up at 5, this is a very short term, as Beck just said, this is a 2-week transition. And by doing that, you actually minimize the risk of early rising and overnight wakings because you're going into bed well rested rather than stretching until 7 or stretching to get to a later nap and then having a short one and it all starts to fall apart. So this is where you trust the process.
Trust the process and also trust that hard work that you've put in because before you've moved to the one nap schedule, you have worked on that early rise if you had one in place. So your little one's internal clock is typically going to be primed to wake somewhere between 6 and 7 o'clock in the morning. Now, by putting your little one to bed at 6 o'clock, well rested, you're maximizing your chance of them using their internal clock to get all the way around to 6 o'clock to start their day. So doing the full 12 hours with the one nap schedule. So that's the idea behind that. If your little one is waking before that, it's just the same early rise protocol that we have in place. We sort of delay. And then after a few days, you are then moving your lunch to 11:15 and then the nap goes back to 11:45. And you systematically work through that process. So every 3 or 4 days, you're moving it back until eventually you have a 12 o'clock lunch and a 12:30 into cot going down for the nap, hopefully sleeping until somewhere between 2:30 and 3 o'clock for that nap.
Let's just talk about, because one of the common things I see, before I say that, remember, we talk about this all the time, whenever we make a change, even if your nights were great, we have still made a change. Sleep pressure is still being redistributed. If nights take a hit, you just hold, as you would say, hold steady, Beck. You, particularly in this scenario with a sleep-trained baby, you just continue your sleep training technique. If there are any wakings that need your attention and intervention, because it is just a matter of letting this all iron out. And it absolutely will. We don't need to go in and fix. We've made a change. There is a common scenario that we come across, which is where childcare wants a baby on one nap, whether it's because they've moved up a room or some childcares just only offer one nap. I find that less in Australia. It's more from my international families, but there is definitely a world, or you've got babies like mine that just decide, I only do one nap at childcare.
Oh, yeah.
And in those scenarios, it is okay. Sometimes we have to go with the flow a little bit and we do a one nap with an early bed at childcare. And on home days, they are still a 2-nap baby on our transitional schedule. And if anything, I find those babies that have sort of needed to be, if not forced, but it's based on the situation, they've ended up needing it to do it earlier than they perhaps organically would have. They are in fact a 2-nap baby still the rest of the time, and it's really important to give that to them so that they have the reserve and the tolerance to do the 1 nap at childcare and then sort of recover the next day at home rather than it all falling apart. What is the earliest age you've ever put a baby on 1 nap?
Full disclosure here, my 3rd child, Harlow, she was 12 and a half months when she went to 1 nap. She was...
I was not expecting that.
Yeah. That was because, I mean, as a sleep consultant, you would want your children to be incredible sleepers. But you would want them to be incredible sleepers. And
yes.
And so she was at family daycare 4 days a week. So they transitioned pretty early to a 1 nap schedule. But she would do her 12:30 till 3 o'clock nap. So it really was just a case of she showed the signs that she was resisting the first nap, and so we sort of just rolled with it. If it didn't work, then we would have adjusted and altered. I wouldn't, going back to a 2-nap schedule would not have fazed me. We would have just worked it out. But she was able to manage it. But would I do that for a client who came to me with a 12-and-a-half-month-old? Absolutely not. Because ordinarily we're ironing out issues.
That's the difference. You didn't have a sleep issue. You gave it a go and you had a backup plan. When we work with families, they are coming to us with sleep already feeling not so great. So for us to make it worse, we would not be very good at our job. So when you see all these comments on social media about oh, well, I moved mine and it was great, it absolutely can. But this is why we wouldn't recommend it as just the generic advice of, okay, we'll pop your 12-month-old baby onto 1 nap, especially if you've got these other issues.
100%. This is not, if there are issues, it's likely stemming because you've got an overtime, there are major issues and 1 nap is never going to fix that.
Yes.
And I would still, I have, one of the questions, probably a good question to ask me would be, so take note.
Yes, what am I going what she said?
What's the oldest child you've put back onto 2 naps?
That was actually going to be my next question.
Oh, well, there we go, because we're like this.
We are.
19, 20 months, I've put babies back on a 2-nap schedule to iron out the nights so that then we have got a well-rested little one going back into the day on a better wicket with less cortisol in play to then be able to effectively go to a 1-nap structure. So
just for a couple of days?
A couple of days. That's all it takes.
Just a little rescue plan.
It's not a long, 100%. And it's because you can't battle through. There are some elements of sleep that you just can't and shouldn't battle through. And don't feel like it is a backward step to go back to 2 naps to iron issues out. I wouldn't, it's so much easier to iron it out
it
with
is
a well-rested
truly setting
bubba.
the stage for success for the plan. And then, when I've done, it's literally 2 to 3 days.
Yeah. Maximum. Absolutely maximum. And it's only ever a rescue plan. It is not a full, it's not something. And it is because a lot of families come to us with really high levels of elevated cortisol. These babies are just, it's like a vicious cycle and they can't get out of it. And putting that extra, just the amount of times just putting a quick 10-minute power snooze in at 10:15 to then have the second nap start a little later for 1 or 2 days so they go into bedtime well rested, that's enough. That is enough to get them through.
I'll also add though, it's not only the babies that are struggling and sort of escalated. Often parents are too. So even reading this question that this is based on, I am exhausted and need help. Particularly with older babies that a vocal, they are standing up, they cry hard, but they're also heavy if you're trying to assist them. It becomes really tricky. There can be a lot of anxiety about what is tonight going to look like? What is this nap going to look like? Please, nap, I need a break. We need to get to bedtime. I'm trying, and parents are trying all the things. They're trying all these things wonderfully to try and get sleep. And so then it's sort of the whole family presents as we're all pretty heightened about this. Sort of nervous systems are on high alert. And so by doing this and having this plan and then watching it work, everyone can be like, oh, thank goodness. Thank goodness they took that little nap. Great. I got 15 minutes. And oh, yes, now I've had a happier baby during that wake window. And they were awake enough to have lunch, and now I know that, and it just starts. It's like these dominoes, but in a good way, good happy dominoes start to fall into place, and the whole family unit feels better.
I hear that all the time because the small wins through the day of things working out. Because when you're in the pattern of nothing's working, they're not sleeping very well through the day, they're not sleeping very well overnight. The cortisol then prevents little ones from wanting to eat well as well. So then they can be really fussy with their food, and everything feels like
a battle.
It's too much. It's a battle. So when you have these small little wins through the day, which then sort of starts to boost and improve your mood and your confidence and oh my gosh, maybe this is going to work. It sets the stage for going into the night feeling like you're on a much better wicket than you had been previously. And then when you sort of start getting all that extra sleep, that's the overall feedback from families is that I didn't realize how much the non-sleep was affecting us in so many areas. So from a work perspective, from a relationship perspective, from a health perspective, mental mood perspective, absolutely everything starts to shift in a more positive way when you feel in control and your sleep is back to being well established and on track.
Yeah, absolutely. The oldest I think I've ever worked with a baby that has made before we've started working together. I have one baby in my mind who made the 2-to-1 nap drop at 21 months. It actually didn't go so well despite the age, and it was because things had this was a sleep trained baby, but I think it was just a big leap, and then because this baby was sleep trained, when it didn't go so well, panic kind of set in, oh, well, we don't know what else to do. And so, but I do remember that baby was 21 months, and I was like, go you for holding on to the 2 naps for so long. And I think that should also just say, yes, we say, somewhere between 14, 15 to 18 months, there are definitely babies out there that can hold on to 2 naps for as long as possible. So if your baby is still smashing out a 10 till 10:30 and a 1 till 3 and you've got no issues and they're 19 months, if it ain't broke, keep going.
The same goes also for daycare naps, childcare naps, where you can't quite nail it for whatever reason. And maybe you've ended up with okay, the best scenario we can get here is 10 till 11 in the morning and then, 3 till 4 at night, in the afternoon. And we've gone with an 8 o'clock bedtime or something like that. And if it's working, it's working, whatever.
Totally.
Honestly, we honestly just don't care if it's working
in the
for
nicest
you.
possible way.
Yeah, we are not out there trying to find people to go, that schedule is terrible.
Wrong.
If it works, it works. And if your little one is really happy and you guys are happy and it's working for everyone, rock it. It honestly doesn't worry us one little bit.
Absolutely. This is just how we would do it if we were micromanaging it for families, or if you're someone who likes a plan to know what's coming next, and you've maybe worked on some of the schedules we've talked about before and it's worked really well, this would be the natural progression of where you're currently at and what you're looking down the barrel at. So definitely at 14 months, a la this question, I'd be going to our transitional schedule of a short, long, and then lining everything up and doubling down on getting the self-settling skills back in action and leaning less into the separation anxiety being the root cause. You can fill up a baby's emotional well-being cup the rest of the time, and bedtime. Yes, it is always a moment of separation, but your baby has incredible self-settling skills. I'm less inclined to go down the separation anxiety path in this scenario. Let's just fix what's going on and then assess.
I agree.
Excellent.
There's a lot of food for thought in there.
Oh, yeah, and some celery juice too.
I was actually going to say, if you just add maybe some sunflower seeds and some pepitas to the top of your Weet Bix little go-to dish, I think for a little added crunch.
My smoothie has, well, it's empty now, has cacao nibs on the top. It was nice.
Ooh, delicious. Do they get stuck in the straw though?
It's a wide straw.
And then,
It did give me a bit of a shock.
throat.
I deliberately didn't drink it whilst the recording.
Straight to the back of the throat.
Do I want to know what's for dinner tonight? Is this how the podcasts end?
Oh, maybe we can ask next time. What did you have for dinner?
Listeners, tell us in the comments. What are you having for dinner? We need some inspiration.
Actually, please tell us how your steak went as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I would actually like to. That's my special interest. 10 out of 10,
tell us about your
recommend.
1 nap transition and your steak.
But more importantly, how's your medium rare steak in the air fryer going? All right. Well, I'm actually off to go and get my nails done.
Oh, how nice is that?
I know.
That is lovely.
And then
what am I going to do? You know what? Footy stuff for the kids.
No surprise there either. Don't worry, Beck. Winter will be over soon.
Yourself. Oh, yes, that's right. And actually, with the end of winter comes the pedicures. So I'll also be out going and getting my monthly pedicure. At
Once
the trotters.
The runners come off and, we're
trotters
exposed. All right. Well, let us know in the comments how you've gone with the nap transition, if this has resonated, if you've got any questions, and always, if you just want to have a chat, we are here for that too, clearly. We will see you on the next episode of Nap Trapped. Bye, everyone.
Bye, team. See ya.